Hi again then guys, and so we've got another drag spec build for you today, and this time it's actually for a car which I thought I'd already done a drag tune for, but apparently not. It's the widely loved Mitsubishi Evo 10. So you want your racing soft tyres obviously. For suspension we've increased the ride height to 130 front and rear. Springs we've reduced down to 5 and 325. For dampers you want your compression on 3 on the front, 1 on the back, and 4 on both for extension. Anti-roll as high as possible, neutral camber and tow. For the gearbox we've got an auto setting of 180, then we've rounded off the individual gears to 3.5, 2.1, 1.5, 1175, 964 and 800 with a final drive of 3.2. For the diff we've got the highest initial torque, as with most of my all-wheel drive drag tunes, for that explosive launch off the line. High acceleration and a braking sensitivity of 20 on this one. For the diff I've got it on 3070, but I noticed the other day when drag racing online, I was drag racing on the Indy circuit. I know a lot of people drag race on that track. I however usually don't. I do by far most of my drag racing on Route X. It's a flatter, smoother road, you get more grip, and each 100-metre mark is obviously marked on the road. It's just better for longer distance drags and for precisely working out how fast a car is. However, a lot of people drag on the Indy track, and I took out a couple of my cars on the Indy circuit and found that they weren't quite as quick off the line on that track as they are on Route X. So you may want to, depending on where you plan to use this car, potentially increase the torque split more towards the front, depending on where you plan to use it. So that's something to bear in mind depending on where you do most of your drag racing. We want all the power upgrades of course, including NOS, which I will be using on this run, and of course you want the full weight loss package. Traction control obviously you want turned off. I feel like most people probably know that by this point, but just for those who perhaps don't. As always, we're putting it up against a superior car, and also, as usual, I'm using an auto box, so if you do choose to use a manual, you can obviously potentially be quicker. So, we're putting it up against one of the most popular cars in the game, the Supra. The Supra has over 940 horsepower compared to this car's just under 600. This car has all-wheel drive though, so let's see how they compare. Now both cars are using NOS, and I am actually using a manual gearbox in the Supra, so obviously off the line the Evo's all-wheel drive does give it an advantage, and top end the Supra would always win. But for around 700 metres the Evo can hold the Supra back pretty well. Quarter mile it easily destroys the Supra, but even up to, as I said, just over 700 metres, most people probably wouldn't put this car up against a Supra anyway, but it's just to display what this car is capable of. It's a very quick car for its power, one of the strongest Evos for top-end performance as well, not quite the highest top speed, but very good top-end acceleration. Kind of a strange car as far as the diff goes. The handling is a little bit tricky, it kind of wants to pull to the side sometimes, so that's something to be wary of. I would suggest playing around with the torque split and also the diff itself, just to iron that out really if it's something that bothers you. I don't really care about it myself because it's just a drag car, but obviously if you do find that annoying, just play around with the diff a bit more. As far as its performance, as always there are too many specs to read out, but it hits 60 in 1.4 seconds, 100 in 3.4 seconds, does the quarter mile in 8.5, standing mile in just under 22 seconds, and it will cover, like quite a few of my other drag tunes, it will cover half of the straight on this track, or 5,000 metres, in well under a minute. So serious performance for its power, and it can take on cars with a lot more power, as you can see from the Supra, and beat them, especially in short distance drags. So if you decide to use your Evo 10 for drags, and by extension this tune, obviously I hope you find it helpful and of course competitive. And if you're new to the channel, or just found this helpful or interesting in general, feel free to subscribe. I put out new tunes like this every weekend, new top speed tunes every day as well, and various other videos in the week. And as always, thanks for watching.